Live.
Hello.
Hi.
So, welcome to another Tech Radar live show. I am Andrew London.
I'm John Porter.
Somebody commented last time, who is this fake John Porter, about me, which, not very nice.
Yeah.
But, hello. We are going to be talking today about Elon Musk, and specifically because the news has been about Elon Musk's boring company, Flamethrower, which is making waves. Go on.
Yeah, so, I mean, for those of you here probably know, broadly speaking, why he's selling a flamethrower. Well, not why. I mean, I don't think anyone knows why he's selling a flamethrower, but, like, what the story is here. But for anyone who's kind of slightly out of the loop, slightly out of the loop on this, Elon Musk started selling Boring Company flamethrower. So Boring Company is one of his companies, and it's focused around drilling holes and stuff.
Yeah, and so it is a play on words, because it is boring as in boring a hole.
Yeah.
Rather than it's a boring company.
It's quite an exciting company.
It's quite an exciting company, yes. And so that's why it's called the Boring Company.
Yeah. So he was, selling hats. You sell like merchandise around like various companies like this. He was selling hats at like $20 a pop. Basically, kind of said, in a kind of crazy Elon style, if I sell 50,000 of these hats, I'll start selling a flamethrower. And people were like, oh, Elon, you're so crazy. But I mean, people bought the $20 hats, so like it did its job. And then lo and behold, that happened, and then the flamethrower went up for sale on the Boring Company website. And initially it was password protected, but then people worked out fairly quickly that there was a fairly easy to guess password. The password was flame. And so you could then buy this flamethrower on their website for $500, which is, a steal considering he was originally promising it was going to be about $600. I mean, in terms of like flamethrowers, I haven't reviewed any flamethrowers in my time here at Tech Radar. It doesn't look like the most exciting flamethrower in the world. It has this kind of like piddly little flame that's about yay big, and like most people seem to think it's like an airsoft rifle that they've like repainted and then put like a blowtorch on the end.
Yeah, and so it does look like a proper from the movie Alien type flamethrower. Tis not this.
Tis not. No. You basically press it, you get like a couple inches over the top. So, like, I don't think anyone's going to be like, if you wanted to defend yourself on an alien colony, this probably wouldn't be the flamethrower that you'd go for. But if you wanted to like caramelize a creme brulee in your kitchen, then
after defeating aliens,
because that I mean, of anything that will give you an appetite.
Yeah.
You could use this flamethrower.
Yeah. Right.
So technically legal, but bizarre.
Yeah.
You want to say hi?
Yeah, just saying hello to a few people. We've got a few people popping into the comments already, mostly just chatting to each other, which is nice. We have got a hello from Anas Al-Ibrahim. So, hi there. I mean, technically he's saying hi to me, but,
Oh, cool, whatever.
And then, so Mark V is saying that his friend has apparently already pre-ordered one.
Okay, I am super excited to hear what actually arrives in the post, because... yes, I think that my feeling is that these will eventually be sold. I think you might have some trouble with the post office going, hi, why have you ordered what appears to be a flamethrower? But yeah, I'm like, when these things start arriving in people's houses, like, what's actually going to show up? And then also, like, what are people going to use them for? Because this is the internet and people are creative. And like, I can imagine there's going to be some cool YouTube videos coming out of this. Yeah,
and this is a thing that Elon Musk does very well, is making hype around things.
Yeah.
And so... like, obviously, it is a tongue-in-cheek name, the Boring Company, but, like, ultimately, company that digs things could be quite boring in the hands of somebody that doesn't know how to do spin quite as well as Musk does. And this is one of the things that is quite prevalent through all of the different things that he does. And we're going to be chatting a bit during the show about the many different pies that Musk has his fingers in.
Exactly. So, I mean, like, if you have a favourite pie, if you have a favourite Musk story, chuck it in the comments and we will talk about it specifically.
We have, like, I have written a Hyperloop explainer and a Neuralink explainer and quite a lot of our Tesla coverage on the site. And we have fully researched all the other bits. And so if you have a Musk pie that you want us to talk about, pop it down in those comments. And so Mark V has said, me saying burn some calories. How very dare you?
Nice. Hey, man, exercise is a good thing.
So Jafari Masagazi, sorry. Said, just wondering what the point is of that product. And really the point is marketing.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, like, the Boring Company is not in the making flamethrower business. The Boring Company is in the digging hole business. And it's basically started as a way of trying to revolutionize, because this is the thing with kind of everything Musk does, is he's not like, oh yeah, we do a thing like other people but we're good at it. He's like, he wants to revolutionize everything that he does.
Yeah, I think like what's interesting about like a company like the Boring Company is the only people that are going to be paying the Boring Company to do stuff are going to be like city officials and government, and like none of you guys are ever going to like spend, I mean, unless you want a hat or a flamethrower, those are your two extremes. No one out there is going to be spending money on the Boring Company, but like it's basically a household name, and so like you're going to have like congressmen, politicians, wherever you're from, whatever they're called, saying like, oh, we don't have a solution to the transport problem. And like, if people out there know about a company like the Boring Company, and that company keeps on coming up in like conversations with your constituents, that's gonna like put pressure on government and city officials to dig tunnels and to spend money on these public infrastructure plans. Which, if you live in a city like Los Angeles, and like I was there like last year, their like public transport, their like transport infrastructure has problems, and I think what it needs is investment and the kind of thinking that the Musk does. So the flamethrower kind of ties into this, because it's just the kind of crazy thing that keeps Musk in the spotlight and means that there will always be news stories written about him, even if there's nothing about the flamethrower that's ever going to make him dig a better hole. Yeah,
and so there's a really, really well-written piece on Wait But Why about Neuralink, where the writer talks about the way that Musk works is often a short-term goal that works towards a long-term one. Yeah. And so the whole thing with SpaceX, that we can talk a little bit about now, but we'll get into probably in more detail later, is that SpaceX is currently launching and re-landing rockets, which is awesome. And so the short-term plan is that they are currently one of the main companies that is shuttling things to and from the International Space Station. And so there's loads of scientific research that's happening because of SpaceX, because they are one of the few companies, if not the only company, I don't know that, that is able to launch and re-land rockets, massively saving the amount of money and time and everything that needs to go into stellar transport. And obviously the long-term goal is interstellar transport for human beings, like being able to travel between planets. Like, that's the long-term goal. But short-term business is make it so that we can transport things to and from ISS.
And I think that's what's so appealing about Musk as a not persona, like as a person, that like we have these like massive problems that we're trying to overcome as humanity, right? And they're so overwhelming. You're like, oh god, how do we solve like the clean energy problem? Like, how do we solve global warming? How do we send people into space? How do we do all this stuff? And it's like it's such a broad problem. You're like, I don't even know how I would begin to approach this. And Musk just seems to think in a way that's like, okay, the key to taking the biggest step forward right now is in the case of space exploration is landing and reusing rockets. In the case of like Tesla, which again we'll get on to talking about, we just need to like make a car appealing at any cost, and we'll deal with making it cheap later, which he seems to have successfully done. But he's very good at just like putting one foot in front of another and just achieving things. And I think that's like a fascinating and just really like inspiring in a way like thing to watch, because you get the sense that we are actually progressing towards solutions to these much bigger problems, right?
Yeah, and it's really interesting that a lot of the time it's not a simple, easy fix that is definitely going to work. And so this is the thing with Tesla, is that lots of other car companies make cars where they go, okay, cool, these are our profit margins and these are our costs and this is what we can make, and every step is iterative. Whereas Tesla goes, we're going to completely revolutionize the way that we make cars, we're going to change the way that electronic cars are viewed in the world, we're going to do all this, we're going to do all that. And so what that means is that it is burning through money like nobody's business. And so there were loads of people that were predicting that Tesla wouldn't survive into the beginning of 2018 because it was simply burning money faster than it was making it. And it's a similar thing with Hyperloop, which is one of the reasons that the Boring Company, who makes the flamethrower, we've got quite a few people in the comments that are like, what's the flamethrower about? So we have already kind of chatted about the flamethrower. We will probably reference it a few more times during the video, but we're not going to spend the entire half an hour video just going, so also the flamethrower over and over again for everybody that joins us. So you can wait and watch this video again once it's finished and uploaded to YouTube, or you can carry on just sitting and hanging out while we do Musk chat.
True.
But Hyperloop. So basically, Musk was there going, okay, well, there is a massive problem with traffic, that we need to travel quickly, and there are cars everywhere, and so we can't, and human beings are quite bad to work as a system together to move lots of different things, lots of different moving parts at the same time. And so traffic is a terrible, terrible thing. And he was like, well, what about the pre-existing technology of a vacuum tube that you can shoot a pod through at startling speeds, like 700 plus miles per hour, right? And so nothing that he did with Hyperloop, with this white paper that he published, was new. Like, at no point was he like, I've invented a new technology. He was like, this is a problem. This technology that already exists could be a solution. This is how I see it working. And then just kind of let it go. He was like, he didn't have time or the energy or the resource I don't know if that's fair, but like, he'd invested a lot of his PayPal money into the other businesses that he'd set up. But anyway, he was like, I don't want to make Hyperloop, but this is an idea that I've had of how you could fix this problem. And then other startups and other companies got involved to try and make Hyperloop happen. And now it's kind of happening. That like Virgin have got on board with Hyperloop One, which was one of the big names in Hyperloop. And so the fact that Virgin have come on board is pretty much a stamp of approval of like, this is a feasible thing that we could actually be using as a mode of transportation.
I mean, this is the key, right? That like, he wants it. He doesn't want it to just be like the Hyperloop branded, Hyperloop trademark, only we can make Hyperloop, patent. He's like, the open sourcing of it basically means that it can be like the new train, the new cable car, the like, I don't care who makes it, but like, people should make it.
And there's like, some people have had their nose a bit put out of joint because basically Musk was like, I'm not going to make it. It's up to all of these startups. And he was running competitions where people would come and they would have an annual convention where people would showcase the best technology that they'd got to with that point. And it would be like, oh yeah, cool, look what this person did. They've made a thing that can go on, so using maglev, magnetic levitation, through tunnels. And it was like, yeah, look at the speeds we're getting on this, and this is really cool. And then quite recently, Musk basically announced that they were going to make Hyperloop pods. And people were like, oh, so actually what you've done is you've just made everybody put in the groundwork and now you're going to come along and make it. And he was like, yeah, that it could be seen as that, but actually I've always been of the opinion that this needs to happen at Musk pace. Like, he didn't say that, but like the technology isn't advancing as quickly as he thinks it should and can. And so Boring Company is now also looking into doing its own Hyperloop thing. Which I think is probably testament to how well Boring Company is going. And so Boring Company, they were like trying to find a way of drilling tunnels at an order of magnitude faster than is currently possible. And Hyperloop is about transporting from A to B at an order of magnitude faster than is currently possible. And Neuralink is about communicating with machines at an order of magnitude faster than you currently can do. And so all of his companies are about solving problems.
Do you think Hyperloops will work?
I think that there are specific use cases in which they could definitely work. And so there's lots of stuff happening out in the Middle East where the sort of the first tunnels are being put in place. And actually you go, it's a long straight stretch of desert where there's nothing going on but the Hyperloop. And then perfect. I can't. And like, it solves the problem of having to have a completely vacuum sealed tube, because obviously if you need it to be 100% vacuum for
that's enormously costly to maintain.
It's enormously costly to maintain, and you get one rupture at any point in the thousands of miles worth of network, and it's
Sorry, I've just got the image in my head now of like a rat like crawling through a tunnel and like finding the edge of a Hyperloop and just like gnawing away at it, and then breaking the seal on this vacuum pack thing and just being turned inside out and getting sucked into the Hyperloop. Which, I mean, and that stuff happens. Like rodents and bugs and stuff, like they mess up like public transport, and and like that's where the maintenance is to a certain extent. The issue I have with the Hyperloop is that you're going so fast that like it's very difficult at dealing with like incremental changes in elevation, and so like most of the planned places for Hyperloop at the moment are like coastal regions where you have like essentially not the land itself isn't very flat, but like you can kind of make sure that it's like a very consistent like depth below the ground. So I'm kind of skeptical that the Hyperloop will ever be like a mainstream thing. I think like it'll be the kind of thing where you're like, oh wow, I'm in X part of the world, I better ride the Hyperloop, and like for people that live in that part of the world it's amazing, but like I don't think it's gonna like it solves everything. I think that do we have a relevant comment?
Yeah, and so an interesting thing that is a question that gets brought up quite a lot that we have actually just had someone ask is, could Hyperloop go across the Atlantic? And so a way of connecting, because obviously we currently in the UK have a tunnel that goes between us and France, and so feasibly you could have a version of that would be a Hyperloop.
I think it would be really hard though, right? Because it couldn't go. As I understand oceans, I mean, I watched a couple of episodes of Blue Planet too, so please correct me.
They're full of water, apparently.
They're not a vacuum.
Yeah.
So if you wanted the Hyperloop to go like through ground, it would have to be so deep to go like underneath the ocean. So I don't think that would be possible. But then if it's going through the ocean itself, then like surely the tide and like the pressure of the water would be such that it would just be unfeasibly costly to make and to maintain.
The rigidity of a tunnel that was
I think.
Yeah.
I mean, this is me again, like not even the whole Blue Planet 2, like 2 episodes max. So
not a sea expert.
Not in any sense. If we have any sea experts in the comments, then please speak now, forever hold your peace. But yeah, so I think it's probably possible. I think it would be very difficult.
Yeah.
Across the Atlantic.
It's looking more likely that hypersonic planes are going to be a more likely high speed cross-Atlantic travel thing than a subterranean.
What's the difference between hypersonic and supersonic?
The level of Mach.
I see.
Yeah, and not return of the Mach.
Concorde was Mach 3.
Yeah. And then hypersonic, I think, goes up to 4, maybe even 5.
But the issue with Concorde was never that it was possible; it was that it was so crazy expensive.
Yeah.
Oh, and also sonic booms, which are when I think so. The thing is, when a plane hits Mach speed, it creates a boom that means you can't do it over like a populated area because it would be really loud.
Yeah.
And it would really mess with people
and damage property.
And is it that loud? Oh, okay, cool. So anyway, we're getting away from Muskland. So like should we want to drag us back with a comment?
We've got a couple of questions. What if Elon gets evil? Which is a fairly common is he Lex Luthor thing that gets chucked around the internet loads.
Do you want to talk about like Neuralink? Because like I think most of the stuff that Elon Musk does, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, you know, electric cars, that's good guy stuff. Public transport, that's good guy stuff. Going to space, I think broadly good guy stuff. Though, you know, like there could be an angle there, like the secret Nazi moon base, like that's bad space stuff. But Elon Musk Neuralink, yes. I feel like that's evil genius stuff, and that's the one that makes me uncomfortable.
Okay, so
you're the expert on Neuralink.
Yeah, so briefly, Neuralink, if you don't already know, is Elon Musk's plan to make brain-computer interfaces, and it's a whole brain-computer interface, so that you would basically have a symbiotic relationship with your brain, with a digital entity. And so the way that Musk talks about it, that we are already in a symbiotic relationship with technology.
Yes.
And so we already can talk to people that are on the other side of the world. We can already think of information that we didn't know previously. We can already do a lot of things that we basically have to, like, the reason that we are currently able to talk to you and you are watching us with your human eyes is not because we are sat in front of you, but because of technology.
Okay.
And so the way that he is talking about it is that we basically have a clumsy 20th century approach to that symbiosis, in that we have to have external bits of digital interface, and that if we got to the point where the digital interface was actually connected to our brain, then we wouldn't have to pick up a thing and press buttons, and it's the thing of that cars are an incredibly outdated thing, that we have to get into a metal thing, that we push pedals and pull levers, that one day it will seem archaic that we used to have to hold a thing that was a phone and press buttons in order to make it do stuff, that we should just be able to go, okay, I want to think in contact with that person, and then you can. And so it is at the moment, there are brain-computer interfaces that can take nerve signals, and so people that are paralysed can move a robotic limb using nerve signals, because the efferent nerve signal, the signal that goes from your brain telling a synapse to do something, can go to something digital. But the plan is to make it whole brain, so that we would be able to effectively communicate telepathically. We'd be able to control things. We would have what is currently our voice assistants, our digital assistants, like Alexa or Google Assistant or whatever, would be a symbiotic part of our brain. And so it wouldn't be like, I know the universe. It would be like, you would think, oh, when is that film showing? And they'd be like, yeah, it's showing at 7 o'clock.
I sure would like the light bulb to be on right now. Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah.
So my objection to this is that yes, it's all like a sliding scale, but I feel like we're already uncomfortably far along that sliding scale, and I think that, you know, I probably look at Twitter like close to 100 times a day, just looking at it on my phone. And my way of regulating that is just like occasionally go, I need to get some work done, and like put my phone face down on the other side of my desk and just like not think about it for a while. If I've got like a thing in my brain where it's like, oh, there are like Twitter updates, I would find it a lot more difficult to detach in a way that I'm able to detach when it's with a physical external device. And for a similar reason, like I don't really like smartwatches, because I feel like that's a level of like attachment and proximity to a digital device that I want to keep some level of distance from. Yes,
and I totally hear that, but I think that there's a possibility that that's generational. That you are of a generation where these things are new, and so like for my grandparents, smartphones don't exist, and like for my parents' generation, the internet is a thing that you go to and you look at, and so that like we all used to have a computer room in your house, and so you'd be like, I have to go to the internet. Whereas now the internet is just with us constantly, and that is a thing that we're totally au fait with. That it's not a thing at all, but the like constant accessibility is a thing that we're a bit uncomfortable with. But for the next generation, that's going to be the norm. And so I think that it's entirely feasible that we're going to be the grandparents of kids going, I can't believe you didn't have a chip in your brain. And we're going to be there going, I am not getting a chip in my brain. And they're going to be like, oh, Granddad, I can't believe you're so quaint.
You're so kooky. Now talk about your really outdated ideas about something else.
Yeah. And it's possible, but the sort of one of the main driving forces in the reason I started talking about this is the is he evil thing. That one of the main driving forces for creating Neuralink is to stop us getting to a stage where our intelligence is less than artificial intelligence. So when artificial intelligence surpasses human intelligence, it's going to be a problem. And that is going to happen at some point. Like, obviously, at the moment, artificial intelligence is a big buzzword, but it basically means we have programmed the thing so that it can look for things.
Yeah, it's a very single-use thing. It's like, this artificial intelligence is very good at recognizing faces. This artificial intelligence... And, like, it's not an artificial intelligence that understands what it's doing. It's just been trained to do one task. It's not, like, a general-purpose intelligence, which is what humans have.
But that will...
Some humans.
That some humans have. But that will eventually become a thing. That artificial intelligence will get to a point where it is smarter and faster and better than human intelligence. And what Musk theorises is that if you are the artificial intelligence in some way, like if you do have a symbiotic relationship with the AI, then you don't ever get to the stage where it surpasses you, because you are it, and it is you.
Yeah. Still don't like it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. Don't like it.
Still terrified of it.
Yeah.
Still not going to get the chip in my brain,
It's-
even when my grandkids are making fun of me.
It's better than stupid kids. It's better than like the Zuckerberg view of like artificial intelligence, which is just like it's all fine. Here we go, full steam ahead, choo choo on the Zuckerberg Express, and like Musk seems to like have slightly more cynicism about him that like I think I like, and that I think he is like thinking about the potential downsides and stuff. I just old man John doesn't want the chip in his brain,
Yeah.
and that's where I'm at.
Yeah, and obviously with Musk's, so OpenAI can actually learn is the thing that Vass has just said, and OpenAI is Musk's.
What is OpenAI?
OpenAI is Musk's AI project that he's working on, and so basically it has. So like a really clever thing happens that he was like, well. Obviously, these are all just really simple things. We'll have to worry when they can defeat a game like Dota 2 or whatever, and then was obviously working on making it so that his AI could defeat Dota 2, and then it defeated Dota 2, and he was like, "See, it's like."
So well, now we need to worry, Elon? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, but like it's kind of that thing of like if I was working on a really effective catapult and I was like in my backyard just shooting this catapult for like 500 meters and hitting a thing dead on, and then did an interview being like, we'll have to really worry when catapults can hit something from 500 meters away dead on, and then like chunk, this is where the technology is going. I warned you about this. Like you were making the thing while you were warning people that someone might make the thing.
I think Musk, like, and to kind of take it back to his like social media presence, I think he's very good at like revealing stuff at like the perfect point, right? So the flamethrower thing kind of came out of nowhere. But since it's been revealed, there have been a bunch of like people. I think it was like Teslarati is the name of the website. Really sorry if I got that wrong. And they saw like an early prototype of the flamethrower in like Musk HQ, Musk Tower. I'm now just thinking of Tony Stark. And like that like existed like 6 months, a year ago or so. So like all these things where he's just like, I hate traffic, how about the Boring Company? Or, oh, like South Australian government, would you like some batteries? And it kind of looks like he's just there like in his pants, like tweeting. My impression of that always is that the guy has a plan, and when he's good and ready, he'll reveal it in a way that makes everyone go like, whoa, dominates the news stories, then like delivers on it before the news gets stale. And so kind of it's amazing social media managing. And I mean, also now I'm thinking about it, does Musk actually tweet for himself?
I don't know.
He's a very busy man.
So he like, this is the thing that a lot of Tesla stuff happens on Twitter and is him tweeting, and he does directly tweet people back. I don't know if it is a person managing his Twitter account, but I would be surprised if he would delegate that level of his identity to somebody. And so he does, and he is very shrewd in what he tweets and when he tweets, so that it does build up buzz around things. And he does things like handover parties, and so when he released the new Tesla, that he had a massive handover party where I think it was like 30 first people to get the car all went and had this massive party, and so it created this exclusivity. And so he's a very shrewd marketer.
Speaking of him responding to people on Twitter, someone mentioned in the comments earlier that the flamethrower is going to be in Borderlands 3. And this came about because Randy Pitchford, who's the CEO of Gearbox, who make Borderlands, tweeted Elon saying like, oh, can I put your flamethrower in my next game? In the next Borderlands game? And Elon was like, sure. So looks like that flamethrower is going to be in Borderlands 3, I guess. So thank you to the person, I missed the name, but thank you to the person that put that in the comments.
Yeah, I was just scrolling back through because we also had Tony Warisa saying, I have flamethrower in World War II, which either means he is really old or a time traveller, or he's talking about a game.
Either way, terrifying. Especially if he's talking about a game.
Especially if he's talking about a game. And so, we are getting towards the end of the amount of time that we normally do a live show for.
Yeah.
And I feel like we've done a good amount of Musk chat. If anybody has any final burning questions, pop them in the comments. But otherwise, we are kind of wrapping up. So thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in and for all of the comments. As usual, we have had some brilliant chat in there.
Yeah.
And so, Yeah, let's just have a look.
So I'm going to talk a little bit about the South Australia thing. So you kind of touched upon it earlier. I'm just going to like kill some time while some comments come in. So this was when the South Australia, very rural, very like difficult, and I think aging power infrastructure, and so suffered a kind of a series of blackouts a couple of years ago, just because they didn't have like enough electricity. And the issue there, and the issue with a lot of renewables, is that the time when there's like peak electricity demand does not sync up with the time when renewable energy is most effective. So, for example, like solar panels, they'll like generate a lot of electricity during the day, and then people require a lot of electricity during the evenings and nighttime when they like turn on lights and watch TV and that sort of thing. So, really, the key to a lot of like to making renewables work is to have a battery that can store that power and take it from the time when it's produced until the time that it's needed. And so Elon just on Twitter just said to the South Australian government, like, oh, well, I mean, I'll build you like a massive 10 megawatt, 100 megawatt? Something like that. Battery pack. And if I don't do it in like 100 days?
Yeah.
If I don't do it in a certain amount of time, it's free. Of course, massive internet buzz happened. He started production not suspiciously quickly, but like within a good amount of time, and completed this thing, got paid for it, and now it's like the largest battery pack installation in the world. And it's like that. It's that kind of thing that makes his brand so appealing.
And is successful. So that's the thing. Like, if it was all spin and no delivery, then it would be a problem. But it isn't. Like, this is the thing, that Tesla cars are cool. He is re-landing spaceships.
Yeah.
Like, his AI is winning games that previously haven't been won by an AI. Like, the things that he does and he delivers on, they work. Whether the flamethrower will throw flame is another question.
It'll throw a little bit of flame. Yeah. I don't know. Again, caramelize a creme brulee.
Yeah.
Maybe. Any final questions?
So, final question is, are either of us single?
Oh, no. Sorry.
Very much no.
I mean, I don't have a ring to prove that I'm not. I didn't come prepared with a fake ring.
Not fake.
Oh, cool. Good.
But yeah, thank you very much for joining us. And yeah, see you again soon.
See you guys.